Hey Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Atlanta Falcons today. It is time for our Week 4 weekly preview here as we take a look at the next game coming up for the Atlanta Falcons, coming off their first win of the year, sitting at 1-2. Can they back it up and get to 2-2 as they take on the Washington football team? And not a team you play a lot in Atlanta, but they have won 6 of their last 7. And right now, it's their first, really best chance to get to 500 for the first time since 2017. You go back to last year and they started 0-4, and it was like, oh my gosh, 5-5 is going to be very, very unlikely. What's crazy is that the last time Washington beat the Atlanta Falcons was week 2 of the 2003 season. So Atlanta has been hot against Washington. Hopefully that is able to go ahead and permeate in going into this matchup, even though right now it's a toss-up. I think most of the betting sites have Washington as the favorites at -1.5. This is a chance for the Atlanta Falcons to really show us that they're going to give us something this year. I think the first couple of games are still, iffy in terms of figuring out what the team has, right? I think we can throw out week 1. Philadelphia clearly is not the team that, dumped on Atlanta the first week. And I think week 2, the Atlanta Falcons showed that they have, some ability to stick with some of the best teams in the NFL. They're not on the same caliber as the Bucs, but they can still play with them for a couple of quarters. And then week 3 is kind of a lot more what you think about the Atlanta Falcons, that they can win football games, but how good are the Giants actually? I think that this game matchup with the Washington football team is really going to be a good indication of what's to come later on this year. If they beat Washington, then you go to 2-2 and you start thinking wild card, right? Because the odds of winning the division are still slim and very much up in the air. But if you lose this game and you lose it handily, Washington beats the brakes off of you, then maybe, just maybe, you go to 1-3 and it's like, that hope of 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, and into the wild card round is not necessarily going to happen. We'll get into my keys to the game here first, though. Pin comment down below, predict the game. Give me your thoughts on who wins. Type WAS for Washington or type ATL for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Washington, in and of themselves, just a quick preview on them here, is that they are very much unknown at the same time. Like, they played the Chargers very hard in that first game. They lose Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heinicke, now the starting quarterback, and then they play the Giants really well, but almost lose that game, but give up a bunch of points. Like, the thought process with the Washington football team really was, this is going to be the best defense in the NFL, or at least one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. They're statistically one of the best ones last year, and yet they gave up, 20 to the Chargers, 29 to the Giants, who, gave up 14 to the Giants last week, and then Buffalo, they got waxed by Buffalo up there at Orchard Park, 43-21. This defense only has 3 sacks on the year, and so we really don't know if this is just a defense in progress, that they're eventually going to, be this scary, great defense that we expected them to be, or if they're just overrated and this team is going to be pretty average, because offensively, they're very average. Like, my big question is, who is Taylor Heinicke, right? Obviously, we understand who he is from a quarterback perspective, but is he actually good, or is he just kind of a guy who makes a lot of crazy, desperate plays, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't? Like, the game I watched, I went back and looked at the film against the Buffalo Bills, he's throwing way too many interceptions, and he makes some very bad throws, and you start to kind of go, okay, if that's what you get against our Atlanta Falcons defense, maybe we get a couple of picks here, be a little opportunistic, and make some plays. Their offensive line is also giving up quite a few sacks, and so I think Atlanta has some opportunities to go ahead and get after Taylor Heinicke. I think this whole look at the Washington football team is that they're underperforming, but maybe they're just going to be average this year, which gives, of course, the Atlanta Falcons a chance to go ahead and make some plays. I'll ask you guys this. Who scares you the most about the Washington football team, right? What aspect of their entire team? Is it Taylor Heinicke? Is it someone as a running back? Is it their wide receiver core? Is it their defensive line, which we'll talk about here in just one second? Who scares you the most about the Washington football team, or what scares you the most, maybe who or what, but the Washington football team down below right now in the comments section. Obviously, a lot of answers are probably going to be Chase Young. Chase Young has not really been the dominant player that he was his rookie year. Remember, it's only year 2 of Chase Young, and so, kind of give time to go ahead and, come into his own. But Nick Bosa year 2, TJ Watt year 2, they were, a lot better than what we've seen so far from a guy like Chase Young. The entire defensive line is still very good. They still have playmakers all over the place, a lot of first-round draft picks on that defensive line, and so even if they couldn't get after, Buffalo, in terms of Buffalo having pretty good offensive line, I think this could be a game for Washington to get right defensively and maybe get after Matt Ryan, because we all know the Falcons' offensive line has been struggling mightily. All right, we'll jump into keys of the game here in just one second. First, though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel down below. We've had great growth here over the past couple of months on Atlanta Falcons Today. We're trying to get to 5K subs and then 6K subs and keep on growing, so if you guys appreciate the channel, like what we do here, in fact, we cover the Falcons and the Falcons only. We don't just give you guys, a broad stroke of the NFL news. We're trying to do Falcons specific. If you guys enjoy that, go down below and hit that red subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, first key, very simple. I love what I saw from the offense in the fourth quarter last week. Show it to me in the first quarter. Like, the offense has to wake up early if you're going to go ahead and keep getting wins and pile on wins after wins after wins going forward. Because if you leave a good football team or even a bad football team in it in the fourth quarter, you have a chance to blow it. I mean, the Falcons almost blew it last week. Thankfully, Matt Ryan, back-to-back scoring drives, didn't happen. They won. But this offense has got to stop going 3 and out, 4 and out, 5 and out early on in these football games, because it's been the case each of the last couple of weeks. They've not been able to drive down the football field, especially in the Eagles and then now the Giants game. The offense must be able to move the football early on, and I think if you can take some of the schemes and the play calling late in games and utilize that early on in football games, this offense might have a little better chance of getting off the ground a little bit quicker. Now, part of that leads us into key number 2, and I think we got to get to a point where, Kyle Pitts deserves a minimum of 8 targets a game. And again, I know the comments said, well, they were bracketing Kyle Pitts, they were doubling Kyle Pitts. I understand. You got to scheme it to get him open, right? You got to create opportunities to give him the football because he is way too valuable, way too special, and you put way too high of a draft pick on him to only give him 3 targets like we saw last week. Like, Kyle Pitts, I think it's going to be a key every single week until they start doing it. Like, minimum of 8 targets. Whether he catches them all or not is up to him, but you've got to be able to get him the football and show that you are committed to giving him the football, something that they did a lot in the Tampa Bay game. They did a little bit in the Giant game. The red zone pass was still there, a couple of throws to Kyle Pitts, but you've got to scheme and get some specific plays for Kyle Pitts because he's too good of a talent, and you spent way too much on him in the draft to, only give him 3 targets and 2 catches. It's just not necessarily enough. Key number 3 here is very simple. You gotta hunt Taylor Heinicke. I think Heinicke is a guy who is very much iffy in terms of protecting the football. He likes to be kind of risky here and there, and sometimes it pays off. In the Giant game, we saw that it paid off for them on Thursday night a couple of weeks ago, but as we saw last week, a lot of the time it doesn't pay off, and so you've got to get some pressure. This front four has played very, very well the past couple of weeks. I've loved what I've seen from Grady Jarrett and Dante Fowler, something I did not expect so far this season. Keep hunting, get after him, and force him to make some interceptions, and when you presented with the opportunity to pick off the football, you have to be able to do it, because Heinicke, if he gets some momentum, and a lot of these young quarterbacks is the same, if they get momentum and they start rolling, then they're less likely to make a big mistake. If you can get them behind the sticks and you can start getting the pressure in their face, then they're going to start panicking and throwing a lot of interceptions. All right, before we get into keys 4 and 5 quickly here, quick shout out to our friends at BetUS, the of course stop that I used to go ahead and bet on a lot of games this week. I was a little iffy. I did bet on the Falcons though and got that right. You guys should do that as well right here. Chatsports.com/betfalcons. Your promo code is Falcons125. Get a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. Of course, the Braves, rolling through a very important series against Philadelphia, Atlanta United, possibly in the MLS playoffs. A lot of exciting thing happening in the city of Atlanta. My bets of the week, I'm going back to betting with my head. I bet it with my heart a little too much last week. I'm taking the Chiefs -6 versus Philadelphia. It could be a big win and a big, important win, I think, for Big Red and Andy Reid on the road in Philadelphia. I think the Lions are going to be a lot better than +4 against the Bears. Lions might win that football game. They've been competitive in every single game, and the Bears' offensive line is absolutely garbage. I like the Colts to get their first win on the road against Miami. They're +3 right now. I'll take them to at least cover, but I think Indy is going to be, they're itching for a win. They've been close to a win, and Carson Wentz should be a little bit healthier. So those are my 3 bets of the week. Chiefs -6, Lions to cover, and Colts to cover as well. Number 4 here, in terms of my keys, is that you don't want to let Antonio Gibson get hot, because he's a very good running back. Even though the Buffalo Bills did a very good job containing him last week, they had such a big lead that they kind of had to stop running. Make that the same case this week. Get your lead out early and slow down Antonio Gibson, because he's probably their best offensive player. Like, they have Terry McLaurin, and they have some other younger wide receivers, but overall, the best player on this offense, in my opinion, is Antonio Gibson. And if you slow him down, it goes a long way towards the success that you can have from a defensive perspective. Finally, key 5, very simple. Probably say it every single week, but especially this week against this defensive front, you've got to hold up offensively. I think Mayfield has played a lot better the past couple of weeks. Still not great. I think McGarry's been iffy, but they were able to slow down what was, a decent pass rush by the Giants, but I think Washington's a little bit better, and so you've got to be able to hold up offensively, because the more you can hold up, the more lanes you create for Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson, and of course, you give Matt Ryan just a little bit more time. They still have to scheme to get the ball out of his hands quickly. That's just something we're going to see every single week from here on out, but I think that overall, they did a better job last week. Keep that same energy this week, that way you can protect Matt Ryan and hopefully create some opportunities to take shots down the football field, because they're not being able to do that, and I'd like to see Ridley open up the offense a little bit more. All right, I'll give you my score prediction in just 1 second. First, give me your score prediction down below right now in the comment section. You're taking Atlanta, taking Washington. If you are either way, give me your score prediction in the comment section. My score prediction is very easy. I'll take the Falcons to win. I think that they're going to go on a little run here. I said 4 of the next 5. This is one of the wins. I think they get a close win here against a mediocre football team. Falcons 20, Washington 17 is going to be my prediction. All right, ultimate for today here on our Atlanta Falcons Today preview video for the upcoming weekend matchup against the Washington football team. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We have plenty more videos coming up the next couple of days and weeks, mailbags and breakdowns and recaps and more previews. I mean, we got a long season ahead of us and plenty of great content here. So if you appreciate what we do, as we keep saying, if you like what we do, it's free. Just go down below and hit that red subscribe button, and then you're a part of the channel. You can ask mailbag questions and, of course, get all the latest content delivered to your subscription box. I'm going Falcons 20, Washington 17. A big chance for the Falcons to get back to 500. And we have not talked about in a very long time here. For Atlanta Falcons Today, I'm Thomas Mott. Ultimate Tommy for today. Signing off. Stay safe out there. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.